Good evening or good morning, YouTube. It's finally gonna happen. We're finally gonna get to battle Mewtwo and get the attempt, or we're gonna get to try to catch him. Mewtwo is a very iconic figure because he's the the main legendary of the original red, blue, yellow games that we grew up playing. Battling Mewtwo in red, blue, and yellow was very, very difficult. You had to do a whole bunch of damage to him, bring upon him a stat, something. You had to either paralyze him, put him to sleep, poison him to debilitate him, and you had to do a precise amount of damage on the guy just to be able to get the opportunity to catch him. And I remember going through a massive amounts of Ultra Balls trying to catch Mewtwo. And I know plenty of other people who also had a hard time catching Mewtwo. And some people downright gave up and used the Master Ball on him. So Mewtwo is definitely iconic to Pokemon. Now, we're set to battle him finally here in Jackson on Saturday at noonish. So let's talk about this guy. In Pokemon Go, his max CP is 3,982. That is very high. His attack stat is 300. His defense stat is 182. And his stamina 193. So this guy is stacked up to be an attacker. So when we go to fight him, we have to be, looking out for that. He's got a very high attack stat and he's just going to be hitting hard. His attacks can include Psycho Cut and Confusion. Psycho Cut has a base stat of 5 damage, 13.3 energy per second, and 10 DPS base. Confusion, 20 base damage, 9.4 energy per second, and 15 damage per second base. Factor in the attack stat and factor in the stab bonus that he's gonna get from having 2 possible psychic charge moves. Yeah, this guy is gonna deal damage with those charge up moves. Now his charged moves can include Psychic, Shadow Ball, Hyper Beam, and Focus Blast. Psychic has a base attack stat of 100, Shadow Ball 100, Hyper Beam 150, and Focus Blast 140. So no matter what attack he gets to use out of those 4, he's going to be doing at least 100 base damage. Psychic has a 3.5 or 35.7 energy per second usage. Shadow Ball has 16.7 energy per second. Hyper Beam 26.3 energy per second, and Focus Blast 28.6 energy per second. Damage per second for Psychic 36.4, Shadow Ball 28.6, Hyper Beam 34.9, and Focus Blast 35 damage per second. No matter what attack he has, he's gonna do critical damage. So I highly recommend that you start learning. And if you aren't good at avoiding getting those attacks, getting the whole dodging thing, get good at it from now until Saturday, because you're gonna really need it. And when you plan out your team for going against Mewtwo, make sure that you have something that's going to be defensive against Psychic. I know a lot of people that are thinking of adding Gengar to their teams. I personally am not going to be using Gengar. He's too much of a glass cannon. I feel that if I use Gengar, he's not going to last all that much, and I'm going to end up just using up a Pokemon slot. My best guess, I personally really like a Tyranitar, so I'm definitely going to have one Tyranitar that has Bite and Crunch, and I'm probably going to throw in my other perfect Tyranitar that has Bite and Stone Edge, and I'm more than likely going to keep Bite and Stone Edge. A lot of people think Gyarados. Again, if you're going to use Gyarados, also make sure that you have Bite and Crunch, seeing the dark moves are super effective against Psychic. Bug. Bug is also going to be somewhat of a glass cannon because I think Bug is affected highly by Psychic. So personally, I don't think I'm going to be using any bug type Pokemon for this EX raid. People talk about using poison. Poison is also super affected by Psychic. So I'm not going to be using any poison either. My team is probably going to consist of my two Tyranitars that I just got done talking about. I like Dragonite. I like Dragonite because he has that high attack stat. Mewtwo doesn't have all that much of a defense stat, so I feel like I can do more damage per second with Dragonite. I feel very comfortable with it. I might have a Snorlax in there because Snorlax is a tank, and I can always put Lick into Snorlax and probably have Earthquake as my secondary attack for Snorlax. I'm still pondering on what my team is going to be, but that's just a rough estimate of what my team is going to consist of. Definitely my two Tyranitars. Definitely my Dragonite. I might do Gyarados. I might. I don't know. I really like using Gyarados in battle. But I'm just gonna have to I'm gonna have to definitely make sure that I get good at dodging and make sure that I dodge those powerful attacks that Mewtwo has. Anyway, I hope that I can see everybody who I know in Jackson at the EX raid and New Tribes. The road is paved. Let's go get them.